World building. That's something that you would likely associate with fantasy novels or Dungeons and Dragons. But you can also do it with Minecraft. And in fact, Minecraft is the perfect way to build a world. So I discovered a list, and this is called the only world building checklist you'll ever need. And I'm going to go through that as I take a look at the world building that I am going to be doing in this world, Labyrinthum. But think of this also as a bit of a guide for if you want to do some world building in Minecraft yourself. Now, this checklist is fairly long, so I'm just going to go through it briefly, but each section I am going to do individual videos for. So we are going to have a nice long world building series. So to start off, and I will link this in the description as well as the pinned comment. So first off, these are some big questions. There are 4 big questions. What's the central theme or tone? So in this case, for Labyrinthum, I'm going to be making this into, I'd say, an early industrial age fantasy world. You might think that this would be steampunk, but it's not. Steampunk is around that time, but we're going to have more of a focus on magic and monsters and things like that. So, of course, you can go with high fantasy, dark fantasy, grimdark, steampunk, or even futuristic, things like that. Second is, what's the scope? So, is that a single city, whole planet, interdimensional empire? In this case, it's going to be multiple countries. So, it's not a whole world, but eventually I'd like to go to multiple countries. And so the first country is right around here. We'll do another country up here, another one over here, another one down here, and another one here. That's as far as I've really planned. So that is going to be a lot of work. Third, what makes your world unique? What's one thing that sets it apart from other fantasy settings? So, like I mentioned, this is going to be like an early industrial age fantasy, but we're going to be using a lot of things from Minecraft and creating lore. There's going to be a lot of lore in this world, and what sets it apart from other Minecraft worlds is that every single building is going to have books with lore. So you can come into this world, go into any building, check out a bookshelf, and you can read about this world. And I'm really excited about that. And fourth, how does magic work, if at all? So, of course, there is a magic system in Minecraft, and that has to do with enchantments, as well as potions. So that's basically it. I haven't thought of any others, but I just want to use Minecraft as a basis for it. And that is that. That's the 4 big questions. Now, looking at other things. Moving on to geography and government. Not government, but environment. So first, landscapes. This is taken care of already. Minecraft does it for you. Climate and weather. Again, Minecraft does it for you. Natural resources. Flora and fauna. Natural disasters. Minecraft does it for you. There aren't really any natural disasters, however. Lightning strikes, sure. That's about it. So, in this case, there's not much to do unless you want to do some major landscaping, terraforming, building entire mountains like Whip does. Those are some things you can do if you want. In my case, I don't have any interest in doing that. I want to use what the world gives to me, and I will build with it. That is, I think that's enough for me. Next up is civilizations and cultures. So dominant civilizations. So what we're going to be looking at here, this is, of course, our first civilization. It's a small country, though. These other countries are much bigger. Although this one isn't that big. It's kind of small. But which one is dominant? I don't think we have any that are really dominant at the moment. I'm not at that point in the development of this world, but I likely will work on that as I develop each country. Next, cultural values. So what do people believe in? There is, this is going to be something a bit later. There will be a religion aspect, but that's not what this is asking about. So what is honorable? What is shameful? That's an interesting question. So one thing that is definitely important to them is to figure out what is going on with all these dangerous mobs. But also, what about the Nether? There was an attitude long ago where the Nether was kind of a partner. But then a war broke out between the Nether and the Overworld, and all of the Nether portals were destroyed. They went into disrepair, and no one went over, and that also destroyed the apothecary job. That whole industry gone because, Netherwart. So once they reestablished connection to the Nether, that is that's a problem because the Nether doesn't remember the Overworld, and they do not like the Overworld. So there is an issue here. Do they go over and force the Nether to, I guess, acquiesce to them? That is really important. But there's a reluctance. I'll just say that. Next is daily life. What do people eat, wear, and do for fun? And that is a major thing about what I'm going to be doing in this world. I'm going to be building all those things. And people will talk about what they enjoy doing. That's a really interesting thing about this world. And of course, each city, they're going to have their own things. We're going to have a library over there. I'm thinking I'm going to have to build a theater somewhere as well. There's going to be a park down there. This whole area is going to be a park. And that's going to be used for leisure and things like that. There's going to be a shopping mall in this world too, in this city. And its entrance is, where is it? Over here. Right in here. We're going to have a shopping mall. Yes, I'm going to be using this. We're going to have shops all along both sides, all the way in here. And we're using these natural landings as floors. We're going to have some up there and some down here. And the water is just going to be a feature. I'm interested in building that, so that's another thing. Traditions and holidays. So that's another thing that I need to work on. I should say that the calendar is based on seasons. And traditions, each country is going to have their own traditions. We will have a temple over there. Holidays also need to work on. Technology level, like medieval, steampunk, advanced magic. This is going to be industrial age with an amount of magic. There will be technology. There will be an ability to transport themselves by rail. I guess. I haven't really decided if I want to do that or not. But happy guests will be a form of transportation. Then languages and dialects. Now this I'm not certain I'll be working on. I don't think so because although let me just say this. I am going to be using languages to develop the names of cities and countries. This country here, at least the cities, I am using Latin as a base. Although the first village, I didn't use Latin. I just use a fancy name generator. But this city is called Principia because it's on a precipice. And I used Latin to figure that out. The capital city, also Latin is used. And I feel every city is going to be using that language. Now this one, I want to use Norwegian as a basis because kind of a Norse culture. Down here, Japanese. I haven't figured out what I'm going to do in this area. I guess this area. And this area. So we'll figure that out eventually. And architecture. Now this is where Minecraft shines. So this is where we need to have consistency throughout this city. I am using a kind of, I guess, 19th century European. That's basically what I'm working with here in terms of architecture. However, city planning for this city is actually based on Japanese city planning. So it's going to be an interesting combination. But having the European style and having some colorful buildings, I'm going to have a lot of colors in here. This is going to be a colorful city, and it's going to look really nice, especially once this area is no longer just stone. We will be building stuff along here. But architecture across this entire country, I want to keep fairly consistent, but each place is going to have its own style. And it really depends on how old the place is as well. So these three villages will have fairly simple style, although this one is a resort village, so it's probably going to be a bit more upscale than the farming and mining villages. Those ones are going to be fairly similar to what I did here, but I'm probably going to upgrade things. This is going to be, like I said, European style, as will this. This is the capital city here. So other countries will have different styles. I'm going to do kind of pseudo-Norse style as well as pseudo-Japanese style. And it's not going to be exactly, because I don't want to copy. That, I think, would be stereotypical. Politics and power. Now this is where a lot of the lore comes in. Government types. All right. I've already established that this is going to be a monarchy. We're going to have a palace here. So we're going to have a king or queen or whatever. So this is a monarchy here. This one will also be a monarchy. We're going to have lots of monarchies. This one is also going to be a monarchy because I want to do a castle. I want castles for these. As well as this one here. So I'm thinking the country over here, maybe not a monarchy. Same with this one. I think we'll go with something a little bit different for those. Succession and power struggles. That will be written about in the lore, so that is something that will happen. Laws and punishment. What is illegal? Yes. How is crime handled? I need to figure out where I'm going to be building the police station. Law courts as well. Yeah, that will be figured out as I go along. We have had crime already. Guess who did the crime? Pillagers. Yeah, there was a murder in Savoria. So, yeah, one of the main characters. One of the characters lost his life. Okay, conflict and war. Conflict primarily with the Nether, with some influence from the End. Endermen are really sneaky. Let's just say that. They're really sneaky, and they are interested in causing war between the Nether and the Overworld. So they're the ones that are behind everything. So, yeah. Trade and economy. That's big. That's big. This city is actually a fairly major trade city. We have industry over here. We're going to have fishing. That's for sure. Lots of fishing. And we're going to have guilds. So, depending on the city. Now, this one won't have a full complement of guilds because it's a small city. However, the capital will have all the guild halls for all of the job types in Minecraft, plus more. Trade, absolutely. We're going to have roads. We're going to have ports with ships. I'm going to be building ships. Yeah. So that's going to be important. But next up is social hierarchy. Who holds the power? Nobles, castles, guilds. I just mentioned that. We'll have guilds. We will have... in fact, I should mention that anyone who is a patron or a channel member for my main channel, JayDeeMC, will have a character in this world and their own story. The higher the tier, the more power they will have. The highest tier, of course, gets, to be the king or the queen. Yep. Secret organizations... Certainly. I mean, the Apothecaries Guild, or I guess the Clerics, they're kind of a secret organization because they're other than the military, they're the ones that have access to the Nether. They're kinda secretive, I guess. Let's just say that. Okay, so next up, magic and its place. Magic system rules, we've already mentioned. The magic system rules are enchantments and potions. Types of magic, like I mentioned, enchantments. Where does magic come from? That's a good question. We may have to discuss that, figure that out. How does it develop? Where did it come from? Does it have something to do with the Nether? Does it have something to do with the end? Very interesting question. Who can use magic? Pretty much anyone who has access to an enchantment table. But most likely the ones that are going to be using it are in the military or law enforcement or whatever. Those are the most likely people. Although in some cases miners and farmers will also be using it. Lumberjacks, We really need the lumberjack job in Minecraft. Mojang, please add that. I would love to have that. A woodcutter. How is magic accessed? Again, this is through, of course, potions, as well as enchantment tables. So we don't have really any offensive magic, no magic spells. We're not gonna have wizards and stuff like that. No, nothing like that. And what are the limits and costs? Well, that's there are limits. There's limits. You need levels, right? This is just basic Minecraft stuff here that we're getting into. How does magic shape daily life? I would say for most people it doesn't. Most people won't have any access to it. So it's mostly going to be the people that have access to the enchantment tables and potions. And what's its impact on history? Now that is a very interesting question and something I will have to write about in the lore. But there will be a lot about the Nether. Again, apothecaries or clerics. That is a major part of the lore when it relates to the Nether. As well as, I would say, the Ender Dragon, which I am going to have to fight eventually, right? Next up is magical creatures, mythology, and the supernatural. So, for this one, we have magical creatures. Do they exist? Absolutely. Now I'm going to take you over to the spot where a lot of experimentation is going to be done. I'll be building the university over here. So spoilers, we even have a portal here, which I think I'm just going to leave like that. Maybe it'll be some kind of museum piece. But I'm going to be building something here. So right here is a mob research center. There's going to be a building here, up here, and I'm going to try capture several mobs and put them in some kind of cages, including a creeper, if I can. But we're going to have a walkway that comes in here and stays up high. And I'm going to have to watch out because of this area here. Now, this is probably a little dark for you, but I'm going to have kind of a spot where researchers can be hanging above everything and look down on everything. And yeah, definitely have to be careful with this. So the magical creatures here, as well as in the nether and the end. Religion and deities. Religion, yes. So I am going to have multiple deities in this world, and they're going to each have their own temples dedicated to them. There's going to be a temple up here. It's going to be a major one. I haven't decided which one it's going to be, but we'll have different deities that are worshipped. It's some houses will have little statues dedicated to them, and we'll have multiple temples all over the place, each one dedicated to a different deity. And that is that's a big topic to talk about. Is religion a major part of their lives? It depends on who they are, really, but I'm sure the farmers will have their own deity like that, you know. Legends and folklore, of course we're going to have that. I'm going to have books about this. I'm going to have books with legendary characters from history. And even some of them might have statues. So I would love to do that. The library I'm going to be building right here. This is not a really big library. However, the capital city is going to have a huge one. But in the library, I want to have a bunch of books about, especially about this city, as well as mobs. I'm going to put cookbooks and children's books in here too. So that's going to be a fun part. But there will be books on folklore and legends as well. Superstitions and omens. Well, we do have bad omen, right? What brings good and bad luck? That's something I need to think about. Forbidden or dark magic. Probably the curses would be forbidden or dark magic. We would prefer that they aren't used, which gives me an idea. Definitely for some bad guys, you know. Somewhere deep in the forest, they'll have books full of curses. Yeah. His necromancy outlawed. That's one thing. Necromancy. We've got undead all over the place. All right. So the next section is how your world measures time. Timekeeping. So I do have a system where I am keeping track of not months, but seasons. So there's 4 seasons, and they're about 90 days long each. So we have a year that is about 360 days. And I will go into that in more detail in another video. Seasons and cycles, of course, just the same. But do magical forces mess with them? Well, since we don't have seasons, Yes, we will have magical forces that mess with everything because, I mean, look at this. We have this area which is cold. Why? Why is there an area here that is cold? That is such an unusual thing, isn't it? Same with up here. Why? Why do we have that? And especially over here, like right next to the capital city, we have this. So this is going to have to be explained through some form of magic or curse. Even here, we have this little bit. And I have to build over this. We're going to have bits of snow on tops of buildings. And historical eras, I will absolutely have to do that. Figure that out. And basically, we've got an era in which the Nether was frequently traveled to, mostly by clerics and military. There were buildings that they built. And the piglins were prospering because of the trade, but somehow there was some destabilization and a war broke out, and eventually all of the portals were destroyed. And then we went into a period of decline because, well, there were two things that were really important for, I guess, prosperity and advancement. Nether quartz is required for technology, and they could never duplicate it in the overworld. And netherwort. So the entire apothecary or cleric career was devastated. So the whole industry really, really was devastated. Next up, we have, this is an interesting one, transportation and communication. Travel methods. So, of course, we're going to have horse travel, cart travel, maybe rail. We'll see about that. Of course, boat. And probably one of the more fun parts is we're going to have a station somewhere around here. I think I'm going to have one maybe over here for happy guests. Happy gas station. So that's one way to travel. Any others? Yeah, well, we'll see. Airships, I would actually like to build airships, but of course they're not going to be able to move. Long distance messaging. So I think we're going to have mostly people taking messages by horseback or by Happy Guest. Happy Guest Postal Service. Yeah. There's no way to transmit messages. This is before, well, they haven't discovered a way to transmit electricity like that. And trade routes. Yes, we are absolutely going to be making trade routes. That's something I touched on a little bit earlier. Next up, now we are getting closer to the end of this. This is a bit of a long video, and I will go through these in more detail in individual videos. Historical events and world timeline, major wars and conflicts. Again, I mentioned the one with the Nether. Natural disasters. There are some areas where I think there could be volcanoes that may get their own story, but we'll see about that. Golden ages and declines. I already mentioned that there was a golden age. The recent reestablishment with the Nether is bringing on another golden age, except that we have all these mobs that are suddenly appearing everywhere. And again, this has something to do with the end interfering with this world. Yeah, so before they used to just stay just underground, but now they're coming out at night on the surface. Okay, so then we have... I think that's about it. Yeah. There are other things that I may consider, but I would like to actually have your opinion. Is there anything specific that you would like to see me talk about in regards to world building, especially in this world, as well as in general for... It doesn't even have to be Minecraft. It can be just for other things, D&D, for example. Something, it's a game that I haven't played yet. I have the books. I will play it eventually. Actually, I've got family members who are interested. But let me know in the comments below if you have any suggestions for topics or other areas that I could discuss about world building. I'm looking forward to your comments. If you like videos like this and would like to see some more, then please consider subscribing to this channel as well as my main one. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.